audio. Hold on.
According to the chat. Or
Hello.
do we? Hello? Can you hear me at least? Hello?
Hello.
Super
Can you hear
quiet.
us?
Now I hear audio.
Okay,
Oh, can you hear us now? Hey, there we go. I'll start again from the beginning.
take it away.
Hope you're all okay. Right, here we go. From the top. Hello, guys and girls, and welcome to episode 137 of the FReality Podcast. We hope you're all keeping safe and well, and that you enjoyed today's show, despite the technical difficulties at the beginning there. We've got loads of interesting topics to talk about today. In the news, we're going to be talking about a new TV show that explores the concept of a digital afterlife in virtual reality called Upload. We celebrate Beat Saber's second birthday. HTC have a brand new virtual reality meeting platform called ViveSync, and we'll be talking to the voice of Solid Snake, David Hayter, about his new role in upcoming VR title Phantom Covert Ops. And then finally, Zim's going to round up the show with some releases and a special quiz that he's got lined up for you. But before we dive deeper down the rabbit hole, let's say hello to the team and find out what's their highlight of the week this week. And first up, this guy's true form is a small green creature that has a brush for a head. It's my fellow VR explorer, Snathy. How are you, and what's been your highlight of the week this week, dude?
Oh, my highlight. Well, the one that you just mentioned was a pretty fun highlight, you know, exploring VR chat with you. But we're going to talk more about that another time because we have seen some stuff.
We've seen things.
Digest first, and then we can, tell you what it's all about. So stay tuned for that. But it's going to be cool. But anyways, another highlight would be me playing Space Channel 5, finally. When I was planning to play it, when it launched, I had some problems with my eye. So I couldn't, so I had to skip it. But now I made my comeback in this beautiful, beautiful and exotic game with its crazy gameplay. And so just to give you a quick heads up, Space Channel 5 is a dancing game in where you have to save humanity by showing off your best dance moves. And that way you can attack the aliens because there is an invasion going on. That's kind of what it comes down to. That's all you need to know.
And did you save the universe, Nathan? Do you got the moves?
No, I was like really try-harding on those aliens. I can tell you that. I was really showing off. Like I was playing it on the PlayStation VR, so I couldn't do any backflips and front flips and things like that. So I kind of had to keep myself reserved in that sense.
We got Keith Chamberlain saying in the chat, humanity's in trouble now.
But so I played it and I enjoyed it because I got to try it at PAX last year. I've never really played a Space Channel 5 game before. So this was like totally new to me. But I like it. It's fun. But what I do want to mention, and this has been mentioned many times before, also in many reviews, is that this title is like extremely short. The story that I played, because it has a storyline, the one that I just explained, but there is more to it, trust me, because the aliens can also sing, yes, and they can orgasmically sing all kinds of songs. But it took me, I think it was like 40 minutes to get through the story. If you can't dance that well, it might take a little bit longer because you can get, game over if you suck at dancing. So you have been warned. But after that, I was like, whoa, that's it. That was fast. It like went by as like a flash, and that's a shame because I did like it, and the gameplay you do get is amazing, and the story you have is also like funny. Luckily, there are 2 other game modes too that you can play to burn some more calories because just like Supernatural and Beat Saber and those kind of titles, this is one that's pretty much a funky dance simulator and also a fitness game. So you can burn calories on a daily basis and jump into its arcade mode that is like pretty much endless. So that was my adventure this week.
Nice.
But yeah, it's a fun game, but just beware, it's short. It's also coming to the Oculus Quest. It's coming to Steam and also Viveport. Yeah, I didn't know that. I was like going to the website and then I scrolled down and I was like, whoa, this game is coming to the Quest. It's gonna be a fun one on the Quest, but they just kind of need to tweak their price for the the playtime you get. So
No, it's crazy. And just last week they were, as we were saying, they dropped it 30% in the store for PlayStation. Actually, the endless mode that you talk about, the arcade bit, you can play that over and over if you want. But I played it to the end. 25 minutes is all it gives you extra on top of the story. So the game is literally, it's a joke in terms of its design. It's like, hey, because I played it as well. Nathan and I were both like split off in different planets and played the game. But I think I got 45 minutes in the main story, having failed one of the levels 3 times. And then I went and I did the kind of endless mode or whatever, which is 100 different dances strung together, different levels. It does get hard, but I don't know if they had a deal with the car dealerships or something. They were like Honda, Toyota, and all this kind of stuff. It was nuts. And I like the gameplay, but the quote unquote story is a complete joke. They introduce a character that is your arch nemesis, that then immediately you're saving from another bad guy, and then the game's over. It's like, what? What are you doing?
Spoiler.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, talking about that, like I watched you playing the game live, and it was really funny because you know what I enjoyed the most, the fact that you went into the menu, because next to playing the game, you can also collect characters from the universe.
God, don't even start. Oh my God.
and I saw Zim going in there. It's called the Friendopedia. And first I thought like Friendopedia is where I can meet other people and compete with them, right? For a high score. But no. This is where you can meet all of the characters from Space Channel 5. And this is the crazy part. Okay, let's say we have Mike, okay, wearing this black shirt right now. But then there is also a Mike who's wearing a red shirt and also a blue one. But every Mike, even if they look the same, have their own backstory. So one Mike with the black shirt is a YouTuber, but then the other Mike with the red shirt is a plumber, for example. And there's like this whole thing going on, and they go real deep with these characters.
There's a whole paragraph of text on every skin. Every skin for every character in the entire game. And there's more characters than there are minutes to the game. Like, that's how shallow this experience is. And I don't get it. They must have been cut short in their funding or something, because this would have been a great title if they only gave more content, more run of the story. Like, it all works.
The strange part is they advertise it as a game that will get more content. But yeah, there are so many games that say that. Also on the website it says like, coming soon, more content. So I'm like, okay, well, bring it on. So it's more of an investment than it is like an actual game at the moment.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the question that I have,
start here.
Yeah, the question that I have is that do these dance moves, like when this whole lockdown ends and you're in the club, doing your thing, are these dance moves going to help you out? Like show off some nice shapes, maybe attract some ladies?
No.
Well, if you were living maybe in the 70s or something, then yeah. So if you go to a themed party, then yeah, totally.
It's not dance mechanics though. It's like half of them are like dodge mechanics or shapes that you make with your body.
Yeah, you have to attack the aliens by dancing.
I love the Chew move, which is like their Kamehameha of Space Channel 5. It is good fun.
It is. Yeah.
Like Nathan said, like it is good fun, but for 45 quid or whatever it was at the starting price, no bloody way. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, they need to drop it. I think if you would pay like $10 for this or something, that's fine.
Yeah,
so we'll see. Maybe they change it up when it comes to Quest and stuff. Like that's the scoop, by the way. It's coming to Quest, so you have been all warned. This is gonna be an exciting party.
I think I'll wait for it to come to Quest then and try it.
You should. Yeah, you should. Yeah.
Nice. Well, glad you had fun anyway. Dancing away in quarantine. Makes it fun at least.
Also, let us know in the chat what you have been playing.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. Yeah, because we'll read those out very shortly.
Yeah.
So next up, this is a guy. This is what a guy. Oh, God. I'll get it right this time. This next guy is what a normal man looks like when NVIDIA RTX is turned on. It's my beautiful Belgian brother. It's Rowdy VR. How you doing, dude? You're right.
I'm doing all right. I was about to say, like, we got into this podcast like really fierce, like already like started like trashing the game. I love it. Anyway, my highlight of this week is I've been reading a book. You know, we're all on lockdown and we don't have that much stuff to do or to play. So I thought I'd pick up a book. And the book actually ties in really nicely with a concept that we'll be talking about a little bit later in the podcast, I believe. The book that I'm reading is called Life 3.0, Being Human in the Age of Artificial Intelligence, from a Swedish physicist called Max Tegmark. And he talks about what is artificial intelligence, what encompasses it, and what kind of age are we evolving right now. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I think this week someone or a team used artificial intelligence in order to make something in Beat Saber. I'm sure that we all have heard about that as well. And I'm not going to delve into it very deeply now, but what I found very interesting is just a positive response that we've seen on that, is that a machine at this point is very near or very approaching like the quality that actually a human has into making a Beat Saber map. And we see that with more and more and more things happening. And it's in that book that is very much highlighted that, you know, you can see like artificial intelligence is something that we can't go around anymore, and in so many years it will be even more present than it is now. So I just found that very interesting. That was my kind of highlight.
Nice. And that's called Humans 3.0.
It's Life 3.0, and the title comes from that the author basically describes that we have three types of life forms. We have life 1.0, which are bacteria, the initial life that we had on the planet, that still qualifies as life because it can replicate and it can retain information. And then it is not capable of adapting its own hardware or software in its life form, but through evolution, it can adapt hardware and software. And then you have Life 2.0, which are us humans, where we can basically adapt not our hardware, but we can adapt our software. For example, when you're born, you can learn a language, you can learn how to walk. And we are kind of evolving already towards adapting hardware as well. For example, a prosthetic knee or new dental implants, something like that. But eventually we'll go to Life 3.0, which is where we can both adapt our hardware and our software eventually. And that's where the title comes from, Life 3.0, Being Human in the Age of Artificial Intelligence.
So that's when RDX is on?
That's definitely on, yes.
Yeah.
Can you imagine
Wait, so it's not on yet?
No, we can totally do it now, right? Anyone who's been on Zoom calls, you just flick the enhance me, boom, RTX on. You look like 20 years younger.
The whole RTX thing, like if you stay to the interview later on, you'll realize why I brought it up.
It's brilliant.
It's a funny segue later. But so you're welcoming our robot overlords in the future now.
Definitely.
So you're getting on side with them now, so they don't.
I'm planning on reading
away.
about it now, so that I can eventually become one too.
Yeah, he wants to become one with Skynet. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Nice.
Fun.
Good suggestion for a book. There.
Good
Awesome.
suggestion. Oh, I thought good suggestion to become Skynet. But okay.
Sure. So next up, this guy put his mind, body, and soul on the line for science this week, trying virtual reality psychedelics. He's at now one with the Matrix. It's VR streamer Zimtok5. How you doing, dude?
I suppose is the right answer. I certainly found a very interesting state of being playing Sound Self. After last week's show, I was very interested in that and went away and tried it. The results kind of shocked me a little bit. I went in pretty apprehensive, let's say, about the whole thing, because to me, in all the little clips I'd seen, although I don't usually like spoiling things for myself, it looked kind of like a shoddy Winamp visualizer from the outside, and I was a bit like, okay, let's try it. So I went in, and for those of you who didn't catch the stream, basically I was a grown man lying on the ground for 20 odd minutes, oming away to himself, for which the first 10 minutes I was kind of breaking out to myself in laughter.
Did you open your third eye?
I think I did a little bit. The interesting thing about the game is, or the experience, is that it kind of forces, and I didn't realize this going in, it forces you For those of you who don't know what Technodelic is, it basically is a series of visuals that are relatively simple, but combined with a process most of us won't have been through before. And the kind of mantra, as you described it last podcast, Mike, that they put you through, where you're basically using all the breath in your lungs, making sound the whole time for, let's say, 20 minutes or 30 or 60 if you want to go for the longer sessions. It kind of stops you thinking about other stuff. And so in that, it really became a kind of an isolation chamber. And the weirdest part is that I got a kind of like almost like a sub-pack-like feedback off of the app without using the sub-pack, this tactile feedback, because the reverberations in your chest, like when you're filling with air and letting them out, and then through your ears you're hearing what are like delayed echoes played back of your own voice into your head. So all this composited, well, what you are as like the player character, you start on the ground under a tree. And then you're staring up at like a branch that's kind of like wrapped into a circle. And you basically ascend in these steps as you're breathing through that tree branch out into the galaxy. And then that's when the mind-blowing stuff happens. And it's kind of like by that stage, you're in the rhythm. And the person who's helping coach you into that falls away. And you just go in and like... It's a fantastic meditative experience, I have to say. Like, it was really good. I don't, like, but before going in, I was like, there's no way I would pay that money. Coming out of it, I'd be like, if you're into meditative stuff, then I can see why someone might pay 30 quid for that. But it's pretty simple in terms of the wrapper. But what you go through every time is, it must be randomly generated or procedural, because I didn't see the same visuals in the second run. And,
did you at least once go like, zim?
No, that would have been good. But it's
People
really
in the chat
odd.
are asking what is the name again of
So Techno, the Sound Self,
Yeah.
which I thought it was like, okay, great, yeah, I'm making sounds for myself, and it wraps around the experience. But what it's really trying to say to you is it's kind of like I'm okay, Sound Self, like you're okay at the core. And I know it all sounds very tree huggery and all that, and it's not going to be for a lot of gamers. They're going to be like, feck this, which is fine. But if you are into that kind of stuff, you're looking for something that's going to help like chill you out, you're like super stressed, it definitely took me, and I'm a real busy-minded dude, it put me in a spot where I was not expecting to go, which was like, I am no longer thinking actively stuff. I'm just involved in this thing, and I wanted to do more of it coming out of it, and I was just like totally chilled out. So it worked for me. I didn't expect it.
Sounds good. Sounds actually
self.
pretty good.
If you look at the poster behind Zim, it kind of like works very well into what he's talking about. Because his poster behind him says "Open your mind." You know, that's what it's all about, right?
That's what you have to do to get in there, I
Yeah.
guess. If you're like, haha, this is funny, let's just do this, then I don't think it works.
But yeah,
Well, I was laughing. I was laughing my tits off at the beginning, because
sure.
when you literally, I was thinking there, like my wife's trying to put the kids to bed. I'm in my room, and literally you go like, I don't even want to do it now. I feel like 100 eyes on me. But it's like, and no one was listening to me. I had my audio muted, so just the filtered stuff that went through the game was coming back to people listening. But she doesn't know what I'm doing, right? So I'm in my room all of a sudden making these long drawn out noises like I'm moaning. And it's kind of like the stuff that they do for pregnant women, like when you're wanting to give birth. So I was just laughing to myself so hard for at least the first 10 minutes.
I got a suggestion. You make the sounds that you made during that stream, and Nate will show his best dance moves based on those sounds.
Oh
the
God,
combination. Yeah.
it's weird though. I mean, it is the first time I've been through a few meditative apps. Ayahuasca, you guys know we covered before. A few other visualizers and stuff. It very much stands on its own, and I see why they say it can be effective even outside of VR, because actually when they start you, it's really weird. First time with a VR app where they're like, to start it, you just lay down. And when you lay down, then you're basically surrounded by kind of like a, pardon my French here, devs, a cheap 360. And then the visuals improve as you kind of go up into the, the galaxy and stuff. And you coming back out is really cool too.
So it's a payoff as well.
Yeah, it's just a really interesting journey.
So the more beautiful the sounds you make, the more quality you get in terms of 360s. That's what you're saying, right?
No. So the start and the finish are the same, always the same. And actually, initially, I was like,
the harder you try, the better you do. the more beautiful this is gonna look.
Honestly, like if I was to, this will be the last thing I say now because I've been talking for ages. It's like a train, and it's like if you're pushing a train set, it's got a little bit of momentum, right? And it's the same thing for this. Like the sounds come back to you, the visuals are coming at you, and the train only stops if you stop making the noises, right? It allows you the time to breathe, and it gets you into this rhythm of like breathe and then moan, breathe and moan. And then if you keep that going, like you really get into it, which is just, it's bizarre. It's a bizarre app, and it belongs for bizarre people, I think, but
Breathing and moaning.
I enjoyed it. So thanks to the dev team for shipping me a key for that.
Now the real question is, of course, like as Rowdy said, like if your third eye opens, then what headset should you be using then?
That's a very good point, actually. So people had recommended me before it to have a pillow or something, because the headsets that have a hard back to them, like the Index has an adjuster on the back. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Or like the original Vive. The best headsets I think to use with it are going to be like a Go using virtual desktop with that. The original Rift, because it was pretty flat at the back. Even a Quest, again, virtual desktop to Steam. Those are the ones that I would recommend because they're flat at the back and you don't need a pillow or something. Yeah. But you can use a pillow or kind of cup your hands to take the pressure off. That's what I did with the Rift S, which has a cup at the back, you know.
I thought the 3D head was also pretty good.
The 3D head, yeah.
What I loved at the beginning of your introduction to this game is that you reference to Winamp. And if you remember Winamp from the day, this is the quote that always played when you started Winamp. And it was like, Winamp, it really whips the llama's ass.
Yeah. Actually, they say it twice, Mike, just to get that quote correct. Because I used to play it back. I literally had it on loop when I was like 15 for like, I don't know, 10 hours. Yeah. Winamp, it really kicks the llama's ass. Like that.
That'll take you back to some good times there.
Still a good music player, by the way.
Yeah. Awesome recommendation, by the way. Awesome recommendation. I'm going to try that out so this week, actually.
Yeah.
So,
I'm fucking watching it. Whatever you put together with that, I want to see that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Awesome, man. So my name's Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis, host of the show. But before I get into what I played this week and my highlight, let's see what the chat have been up to and what they've been playing, because they've been playing a bunch of stuff as well.
Yeah.
Yes. So, are you ready for some awesome titles? First of all, we have Steve, who has been playing a guilty pleasure, a flat game called Valorant. And it makes me wonder when we are going to get a VR shooter with heroes and stuff. Looking forward to that.
What is that? I've seen it all over, but I've not checked it out. Is it a MOBA?
It's like CS:GO mixed with Overwatch in a way.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it comes down to.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we have Hussein, who completed Transpose. It took him 19 hours. I have never finished that game. Did you guys ever finish it?
No.
That game was hard.
Yeah. If you have a tiny brain, it's going to be challenging. I understand, Mike.
Yeah, I struggled.
A little squirrel brain. Okay, moving on. I'm not going to insult Mike too much this show.
I was going to say, please don't go there, because I'm still struggling with Shadow Point. Thank you.
He's gonna. I want to stay in the podcast, so I'm gonna be also nice to him.
Good.
Okay, next. Vato UK played Gorn and also finished Alien Isolation with the help of a bumper pack of adult nappies. He said also that he died many times. Yeah, I'm sure.
Because it was on sale, wasn't it? So you could pick it up for like $2, I think it was, which is an amazing price for that.
Plus the nappies, of course. So it's
a little bit extra for the nappies, but worth it.
Okay, then we have DX Falcon. He says, getting down in Lies Beneath on Quest. Really great game. Top marks from me.
Yeah, just quickly, I want to touch on Lies Beneath, actually, because I know I was pretty critical about it before. Having actually played it now, it's better than I probably gave it credit for, although I still stand by my comments in that if you've played Resident Evil 7 or, what was the other one? Killing Floor Incursion, you've seen a lot of this stuff before. But it does have some nice segments that I thought were pretty well done.
There's not much with balls on the Quest, though, right now, though. So
True.
I think it's fair that for people on that platform, like if you're pining for something decent to chew into, just stick with it, right? Like that intro is kind of weak.
Yeah, definitely the first 40 minutes were that
slow
strong.
Start. Yeah. Okay, well, we got Space Channel 5 coming out soon, so, there's still hope. Hope for the store of Oculus. Okay, then we have Dave, who played Pottery VR on the Quest, and Legendary Tales. I think these two are side quest titles.
Mm-hmm.
I guess because I haven't.
Pottery's a Quest store title. I'll cover it later.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
The other
Okay.
one. What was the other one?
Legendary Tales. No idea.
No, registering nothing. No.
Well, we
Sorry.
will keep our ears peeled for that one. Then we have PD went bungee jumping off the Statue of Liberty in VR.
Wow.
Seems,
Oh, in
legit.
VR.
Yeah, and he used the AI to customize songs in Beat Saber because that's something.
There we go.
There's now a system that digests songs and then poops out these blocks for you. It's amazing.
Beat stage.
Yeah, and then last but not least, we have Gamertag VR, who checked out Aspire's one massive simulation update, Minecraft VR, Arizona Sunshine, the DLC on Quest, and Echo VR on Quest. Rumors go that BMF is still stuck in the game, trying to find his way out.
Arizona Sunshine.
Yeah.
Yeah, bless him. He got a bit sick playing that this week, but I thought I'll talk about that later on during releases, maybe if that's one of them.
Sure.
Cool. So I've had a bit of a surreal week this week. I think Rowdy will kind of agree as well. And, being able to interview David Hayter, the voice of Solid Snake, we're going to be playing that interview later. That was a real surreal moment. The other surreal moment I had was when I had the opportunity to talk to Kevin Roos, a guy, a tech columnist from the New York Times, about how he was writing an article about how VR could help people trapped at home during the pandemic. So I kind of jumped on a Zoom call with him, talked him through some stuff that I would recommend him to check out, that he's very new to VR. So it's kind of like, dipping your toes into this can be a bit overwhelming at first. You don't really know what to try, what's good, what's bad. So he was kind of like seeking out my advice on that. And
He was like a little bit of a, how do you call those people in Harry Potter? Like muggles? Muggles?
yeah, you could say he was a VR muggle.
Ruggle.
Yeah.
But wait, how new to VR? Like, has he had one headset, or like how new?
To be fair to him, he has tried out PC VR in the past, and I think he said he tried out PSVR as well. But the only headset that he had access to, that he had picked up, that he was able to pick up, was the Oculus Go. And I did sort of say to him that was a shame, because he's kind of cutting himself off of a lot of content out there that could have maybe been quite impressive for him, and the Go is kind of limiting now, particularly when you consider that the Go is 2 years old this month
and 3'd off. It's still 3'd off. That's one of the main problems with the Go. I mean, I love the Go, but it's not a mainstream headset.
And I think the most important thing is that they are not really updating it anymore. If they were still kind of doing that, then they've still been kind of fun to use, but.
Yeah, that's true. And the thing is, he wanted, I was trying to explain to him that, using Quest and PC VR, a lot of people are using social applications. Like me and Nathan jumped into VR chat this week, had a blast. We'll talk about it more next week. And applications like that can really enhance, your well-being in a time like this when you can't get that connection with other people and meet up with friends. So I was trying to stress that point, and he was like, well, I'm stuck with the Go, but can you try and give me a tour of something, like a virtual tour of one of these apps, and kind of just show me instead of just telling me, show me what this magic is all about.
No.
So I was like, holy crap.
Please tell me you didn't put him in VR chat.
Well, no, because he's on a Go, so you can't use VR chat on the Go. The only other social app is Altspace, and I didn't want to try that out, so I suggested Big Screen.
Okay. Because I was imagining that mine was going to be like, so this is the Eiffel Tower, and now you jump off.
No.
Pushing him off to learn him what VR is all about.
Yeah. So I said, let's jump into Big Screen, because it's cross-platform, works really well cross-platform as well, and I can maybe show him some 3D trailers, because that's kind of like a mind-blowing moment in VR if you haven't tried it. And it's also got a social aspect to it as well. So that's what we did. I invited him to the lobby area of Big Screen. We met up with some other people in there that were milling around. We talked to people, threw popcorn around. I explained, that, I had hands and he was limited with the Go, being 3'd off, but I could articulate and show him gestures and stuff, which was cool. And then we jumped in and saw some 3D movie trailers, which, he was actually surprised about how good it looked in the headset. I think he was quite concerned about what that would look like before actually trying it. But he was actually impressed with the 3D effect and how it looked, but kind of questioned whether people would be watching full movies in there. And I kind of explained that people are actually buying cinema tickets to full movies to watch in there, and because you don't get distracted by the real world around you, and you can just enjoy the film for what it is, and it's kind of a way to kind of shut off the real world a little bit. So overall, I felt like he had a good experience. And in the article, when you actually read it, it's like the New York Times tech columnist article. It's kind of headlined what was it headlined? Let me see if I've written it down here. I haven't written it down, but it's something like, this is a time for VR, but why is VR still a niche? And he kind of goes in to explain that, VR is still a niche right now. He doesn't feel like it's ready for mainstream adoption. And to a certain degree, I think we all know that that's the case in the VR bubble, although it kind of sucks when someone says that. We all kind of know that VR is still a very small industry.
Like he based his experience on a 2-year-old device, right?
And that's my point, and I did highlight that to him that you're trying old tech here, and things have advanced a lot further since then, and your experience would have been enhanced had you tried a newer headset.
A Quest, exactly. I mean, put him in a Quest. It's it's just transformational.
But so he bought a Go for his article. That's what it comes down to. He wasn't able to get his hands on a Quest or a Rift or a Vive
The funny thing is that the Oculus had sent him a Quest, but it was just still in the post, so he just didn't wait for it to arrive, which he should have done, I think, in my opinion. But anyway, although the article, I don't think the article is it's not ultimately scathing. It's not like VR's dead, which we've seen a lot before from mainstream press. So at least he's skeptical, but willing to try it and keeping his eye open, and thinks that it may advance in the future. But he obviously just tried old tech, and I think to a certain degree,
we have seen worse.
Yeah,
sure.
We've definitely seen.
This was a pretty neat article.
He did also ask why adoption isn't higher during this time of lockdown, and I sort of did explain to him that headsets have been out of stock since Christmas. The pandemic has obviously affected manufacturing, and people can't even get hold of headsets right now, which we're going to touch on more a bit later on. But I think it was nice that he reached out to someone at least that has some experience with VR and wanted to seek their guidance. And certainly, it was nice to have an opportunity to share what we feel is like the magic of VR, and that slowly we're starting to see perceptions change, not only in the public but also in the mainstream media as well. They're a bit more open-minded about this sort of thing. And I think we all, we wouldn't do this show otherwise. We all believe things will change. It's just a question of time. It's a question of when, not if, VR will become this huge thing in the future.
I think that like the way you have showed him through the whole VR thing and what you came up with, it's the best you can do, and it's like you're not forcing him to like VR or show him the best or the worst, or it's just like, this is it, and it's up to you what you think about it. And that's the article.
Absolutely.
That's what it is. You gave your perspective from the VR scene, and so that's why I think it turned out as it is right now, where it's like, it has good parts of it and bad.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was fairly balanced. Moving on critical, but should have tried the latest hardware really to give it a fair shot.
It can be like if you just compare it to introducing people to VR, some struggle with that because it can be challenging to come up with an idea of like, okay, this person wants to try VR. What shows up the best part of it? What's the most comfy? What is the easiest way to, and then, you have been thinking about, okay, big screen, show of a trailer. There's also some social part in there where there's interaction with the hands. So like moderated and reserved in a good way. And some, like we have seen articles where, as Rowdy said, he's joking about, VR chat and Eiffel Towers, but there have been these occasions where someone just threw someone into the VR pit. And then it's like, okay, so here are all these people and just do some stuff. But, if you're more of a guide and you do it responsibly, then you can get a very positive view on VR. And I think that's something that is an art on itself.
But why big screen? Like, that would be my only question. I assume he was looking for social, right? Like how do we stay connected? Or was it just VR as a whole? Because I didn't quite catch that when you were introducing the topic at the beginning.
I was selling the magic of social apps, and he wanted to try one. And the thing is, big screen's the rare one that actually works really well cross-platform with Rift and Go. And I could jump in with Rift, he could jump in with the Go, and we could still have a conversation. Worked great, by the way.
There
aren't
many options, actually, unfortunately, that are cross-platform, that are social. I mean, the thing I was thinking, because I was racking my brain here going, like, what would you show somebody if you had to show them something on Go? Because Go is very limiting a population. And I was thinking, like, in this harrowing time, the thing that I would have put someone in is I probably would have said, right, here's Dispatch, because it's a really, like, jarring emotional experience that shows off what VR can do, I'd stick him in that and I'd say, go for that ride. We'll talk about it when you're done. 40 minutes later, pop them out. But it's not social. And I wish there was something that was like at that temperature, but social. And we don't have that
like
today.
Oculus rooms.
I was going to say.
Like that was like, that
Boggle.
would have sold him straight away. Because then it was like, we're in my living room. We're playing Monopoly, but we can also watch a movie on this screen right now that I have. We can also switch to day and night. We can customize it. We can do things together. We jump into a game with a character coming out of the screen, inviting us to get to another world. That's it. That would have been it. And that system is gone. We all know it. Rip in peace. But and now it's completely gone. There's
hang on.
It's not even on Quest.
I know exactly the answer that I would have done for social. Poker VR on Go.
VR.
That's what I would have done, because talking around a poker table is interesting. But the problem is that I think when someone goes into VR that way, they're expecting to be wowed by the dimensionality of it. And you don't get that around a poker table. That's the only problem. You get the social side, which is nice. You get that rainbow, but you don't get there really isn't a good app for that, actually, thinking about it.
I think that basing the future of VR on a 2-year-old headset is just pointless.
Yeah. I hope he revisits that again when his Quest arrives. Yeah. But yeah, that was the opportunity this week. Quite a surreal week, indeed. Looking forward to playing the interview later on, so make sure you stick around for that. It is really fun.
With the solid snack.
With the solid snake. Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive into some news then. The first bit of news I want to talk about this week is a new show that just dropped on Amazon Prime yesterday called Upload. Now, Upload is a new TV show and it explores the concept of a digital afterlife. Now, the show sort of follows the story of a guy called Nathan, who's involved in a self-driving car accident, which is kind of funny, kind of ironic in a way, in the future. And it proves to be fatal, and he gets uploaded to Lakeview. And this is like a virtual reality hotel run by one of the world's biggest tech companies. And when sort of Nathan wakes up in this new sort of digital surroundings, he makes a new unlikely friend in Nora, a real-life customer service agent for the Lakeview world in which Nathan now inhabits. It looks like a really cool and unique show. I'm definitely going to be checking this one out myself because, me and my wife love watching shows like this and binging them. So this is going to be next on our list. But this one in particular looks great because it's being created by Greg Daniels. And you'll know him. He's the same guy that brought us The American Office and Parks and Recreation. I don't know if you guys enjoy those shows.
Yeah. Yep.
So is this also more comedy?
Yes.
In terms of it's very lighthearted.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, like, this is going to be a light-hearted, humorous show. Although it sounds kind of bleak and a bit like a Black Mirror episode, it's not going to be as dark as that, I don't think. So if you want something, light-hearted to pass the time and you're looking for a new show to binge watch, you can check out all 10 episodes of Upload, which are available right now on Amazon Prime.
It is one series now. With
one series, all released at the same time yesterday, 1st of May. But I just wanted to ask a question, actually. I want to put out there to you guys. If you had to choose between dying or living forever in a virtual form in a virtual world, a bit like what we experienced in VR chat the other day, Nathan, what would your choice be? I'm super intrigued. Which one of you wants to have a stab at this first?
I'll answer this one last.
Okay. Some people in the chat are saying they want to live forever.
Yeah, I was gonna say no. I like the finality of life, actually, personally.
Yeah.
I like to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that to a certain degree. Yeah.
I mean, if they want, they can clone my brain and put it in VR chat for people to
what
enjoy.
What if you could live out, infinite days as your little green brush head creature? You know?
No, that's not going to be.
No.
But as I said, if they want to recreate me, then that's fine.
Clone you. They can clone you.
And they can clone me.
Wait, are you giving rights to the adult industry to clone your body and use it for whatever purposes they would like?
But what if the clone is self-aware and what if you're a clone, then you're trapped in the clone's body? This is when things get really serious.
Yeah, I don't know what to say.
No, okay, fair enough. It's a deep question, so I caught you off guard.
Yeah, that's a very deep question. Yeah.
What about you then, Rowdy? You're sort of into this sort of stuff.
Yeah, I'm very much. The first thing that I want to say is, who says that we don't already?
Oh,
Ooh. It's actually a very, like, if you go and look at the science of this, it is actually a very logical step in human evolution to eventually do that. Just because the amount of energy that would be required to do something like that, it would be better to preserve our energy up until the time that the universe actually cools down, which at the moment I don't believe it's doing yet. I think it's still expanding, and therefore the heat is still rising, which means that there's more energy required in order for certain processes to happen. So if we could put ourselves in a form of stasis, so up until like the temperature in the universe starts dropping, so that there's less energy required in order. This is getting very centrifugal.
I'm like, am I in sound self again? Because I'm getting a little bit.
When the universe cools down, then you have with the same amount of energy, you can do more kind of processes. So it would make sense for a type 4 or what doesn't exist, type 3 civilization on the Kardashev scale to actually get into a stasis, so that you would wait until the universe cools down and then you would come back.
This is where the scientist comes out of Rowdy. It's like, I just, do you want to live forever, or do you want to be a digital
yes or no?
Well, yes, of course.
Okay, cool.
Let's wait, live
Glad we
forever
read
or
that.
digital avatar? Oh, I misunderstood the question then. Oh, interesting.
No, do you want to, like, it be final as in you die, or you live forever as a digital avatar? Sorry.
Right, yeah. But like, I feel like if you've watched Black Mirror, the live forever thing, you get to see the unhappy roads. And those are kind of scary, unhappy roads.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. And that's what I was going to sort of say. You know, if you want to look into other tech shows that I would recommend, Black Mirror is definitely one on Netflix, although it's very, very dark and it's not for kids. So just bear that in mind. The other one that I checked out recently that was really cool, kind of reminded me of the Twilight Zone a little bit, is Tales from the Loop. And that is on Amazon as well.
I didn't like that at all. I know a lot of people have been saying great things about it. I got so bored with that. I don't know why. I just couldn't hook it. Like, I agree with you on Black Mirror wholeheartedly. And my God, if you start watching that first episode with your kids, you're going to learn a hard lesson of...
They're going to be scarred for life. But yeah, Tales from the Loop is definitely a slow burner. Definitely a slow burner. And of course,
suspicious that you're asking questions like these, because for quite a while now, since VR Inside, people have been saying that you're a droid.
yeah, I'm one of Skynet. And now that
what do you want
Rowdy at the beginning said that, you know, he welcomes my overlord future, he's now going to be on side. You guys,
and you're
doomed.
even suggesting people to join it, so that only confirms even more that you are not human.
It's not going to be called Skynet though. It's going to be called MikeNet.
Okay.
There you go. Glimpse of the future there. But another thing that's coming in the future is Snow Crash, the TV show. We talked about that on a previous episode of the podcast.
Yes.
The book that's being adapted to a TV show, so we've got that to look forward to. And Gamertag keeps on posting in the chat, Gangs of London, another TV show that's on Sky at the moment in the UK. Another one that I'd highly recommend, but not necessarily tech related, but very cool
Let's
nevertheless.
start a movie podcast.
We should actually. I would enjoy that.
Sorry, a movie... Play this out for me, Nathan. What do you mean by a movie podcast?
Well, talking about, for example, how good the Trolls movie was.
Oh, right. Oh, like reviewing. Okay, sorry. I thought you meant like a... we were trying to create a movie through the podcast. It was very confusing to me for a moment. I blame Rowdy for that science bit he just did. Anyway, let's get out of here. Yeah.
Just don't get me started on the Dyson Sphere next.
Oh, God, no.
The funniest thing, though, is honestly, your background right now looks completely fake, Rowdy. Like, you could reach back and you touch it, and it would be like just green screen. I would totally buy it.
This is one of the...
says it's not?
This
The
is one of the
holodeck gets revealed.
I don't know, but this is one of the stock images from Zoom, just saying.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that's a new show called Upload. Go and check it out on Amazon Prime. Available now. Looks kind of cool. Next bit of news comes from Facebook, who gave us an insight into VR sales from Oculus during their Facebook Q1 2020 earnings call this week. Now, Mark Zuckerberg, he does this regular update to investors, everyone else, gives a sort of state of what's going on with the company. He delivered all the information about earnings, and during the presentation stated that non-advertising revenue for Facebook had reached $297 million US, which is a big chunk of change there. And apparently this figure was up 80% year on year, which he said was primarily due to the sales of Oculus products. So that's pretty cool that the Oculus is actually, getting some real decent revenue for them in terms of their non-advertising revenue.
That's mainly the content, I guess, right?
Content and hardware, yeah, so both together.
But they're losing on hardware, I imagine. So.
Oh, yeah, of course. Like in terms of research and development, but I'll touch on that in very shortly. Zuckerberg went on to say that the Quest has surpassed our expectations, and we wish we could make them faster. Because as we all know, like I touched on at the beginning of the show, getting a Quest or Rift S has been an absolute nightmare since the pandemic hit, because it slowed down the manufacturing, and there was already a big boost around the Christmas time because a lot of people were jumping on the VR hype around Christmas, which was great before this even all started.
Best timing ever.
Best timing ever, yeah. So it kind of sucks that, consumers can't buy a headset. Scalpers are snapping them up and reselling them at an extortionate price on eBay. But also, it seems that Oculus are feeling the pain of that too, which is clear.
Well, the Quest is still, making its comeback from time to time, having a stock. But Rift S is like, I don't know where it went. I don't know.
Yeah. If you're really desperate for a Quest, like just follow all of us on Twitter, because whenever it happens, we tend to post about it.
That sounds like a great ploy. Just follow us for that news, and then we might say something.
And then you have about.
I know, I agree with you, but like.
And then you have about an hour or two to get one
until they're all gone.
It's such a short fuse, because it goes. You go like 3 weeks and there's nothing, and then all of a sudden I see it as well at my feed. It's like 4 or 5 people are like, grab a Quest, and by the time you've read the 5th one, they're gone. They're gone.
Yeah. So Zuckerberg also said that Oculus products have seen large spikes in usage during lockdown, and that it's possible that this lockdown will lead to higher long-term interest in the products as part of his presentation. But yeah, another interesting point was that Facebook are increasing investment into their Oculus research and development team to push innovation even further into the future. So that's really cool that they're seeing a spike in sales, but they're also like putting that back in to the research to improve the products even further. So it's great that they're continuing to invest in that way.
They've always been so open about like stuff from Oculus, because I do see more companies talking about their success. For example, Netflix too, sharing numbers, because it's of course going through the roof in terms of numbers because of the quarantine going on. Because usually I don't hear that much from Facebook about Oculus.
Well, we never really get any stats. Like we've never had headset sales.
Still no numbers, but
no Quest sales numbers.
More than we usually get.
More than we usually get, and I wouldn't be surprised if we do get those numbers maybe during OC7. I think because Quest sales is going to be a number that they're definitely going to want to be sharing, because they're definitely proud of it.
And it's going to be extremely high again because of this whole thing going on. So if there is a way to now show the numbers, even that it makes sense that they are that high, it's now to do it.
Yeah, and interestingly, like I said about research development in terms of Oculus, we know that there's a new headset in the works, codename Del Mar. We've talked about it on the show previously. It'll be interesting to see what that is when that gets unveiled. But it'll also be interesting to see when the Quest will get some competition, because as it's been clear from this call, and we knew that the Quest was doing well anyway, just in terms of like the public perception of it and reaction to it and the demand for it. But we wonder when we'll see competition for it, from other manufacturers.
We've talked about this before, though, Mike. I mean, it is going to be very hard, because this is not just a strictly software game. This is a hardware, machine learning game now, and all the adaptive software that they've developed over the last 12 months with some real geniuses and cornerstones of the industry driving that. I think that the catch-up is a 2 to 3 year curve. I don't think that we're going to see a Quest equivalent device hit the market in that time.
I totally agree with you, by the way. Yeah,
me too. I think that's like, if you look at Facebook as a company and their investment in VR, I don't think there's any other company that can come close to that at this point.
So it seems, because I know when they originally invested into Oculus and they bought it for it was a huge sum of money. A lot of people were like, "Wow, that was like a really strange move, like bold move." But it seems like it's slowly starting to pay off, and maybe they will end up being top dog in the future, and that investment.
But I also think they meant to send the signal with that is to other competitors: don't get invested in this market, because this market is ours.
Yeah, we're going to crush you. Yeah, and they've been doing that pretty well so far.
And as we touched before, just to mention it, because it's not necessarily a good thing either, because
no, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing,
because you need healthy competition to drive that market. Otherwise, you get regulators come in and bust up the company.
I don't fully agree with that. I don't think that necessarily competition is necessary in order to drive innovation. I do think that Facebook as a company drives innovation in itself.
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
I think Okay.
No. I'm saying from a regulator's stance. So you have regulators for markets that are anti. You need to have the competition, otherwise you have a monopoly. And like in the U.S., you have laws against monopolies that are there to bust them up. Companies that are way too powerful or successful, the oil industry, the automotive industry, Ford, for instance, in the past, they move in and they bust the company up, and then you end up with these two kind of fragments that were never what they were before. We've seen it with nationalization of certain services in various countries, but unless we get that catch up soon, and I think it'll come from one way, the same way Oculus started. I think people are going to start blabbing and moving. They'll grab somebody, pay them 3 times their crazy salary. They'll steal IP covertly in some way and rebuild systems that they built for Oculus a couple of years earlier.
Well, that's the thing that's the most problematic thing I'm seeing now, is that they are buying studios. They started off very slowly, with Beat Games being like a huge takeover. But if they start buying the best VR studios, then how is the competition even gonna get started? It's so hard to compete with Facebook.
But that's software.
There is one other company,
that's
and
different.
There's Sony. Like Sony can compete in that
Juggernaut,
sense.
exactly. And it's so interesting. Like where Sony's going to move next.
Yeah.
But that's all in terms
PlayStation.
of software. I think that the competition is far less when you look at hardware.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know.
another company.
Sony can make really good hardware as well. So
Exactly.
I don't want to dive into it too much because we talked about it on the show before many times. But maybe Sony will be the ones that can go toe to toe with Oculus. But
we'll
it's
see
great.
what happens if the Zuck has finally touched a let's say standalone PlayStation VR 2.
Yeah, that would be good competition for sure. But it's great to see that it's doing well for them anyway, and that they're continuing to invest more money into research and development for better headsets for us in the future.
True. Yeah.
Okay, so next bit of news calls for celebration, as it's Beat Saber's 2nd birthday. I can't believe it's actually been 2 years already. Like
2 years.
It seems like it's gone so fast. What do you guys feel about that? 2 years? Or is it
Crazy, right?
has it been?
Honestly,
I remember
a long
myself
slog for you guys.
on the top of the leaderboards across all of the.
That was before release,
that
Rowdy.
lasted
Before the
pre-release.
release.
Before the game came out.
Competing with himself.
Exactly.
But that's the saddest. I think that's the saddest thing of being a content creator. You get pre-release access or something, and then you're there at the top of the boards, and you're like patting yourself on the back. You're like, yeah, it's me and that New York Times journalist, and I'm kicking his ass. Well, I've been there. I think it's very interesting that Beat Saber is 2 years old, because this is like the indie darling that grew up to be a big boy, and I think that just like what we saw, Minecraft do 13 years ago or whatever it was. It's the same thing we're starting to see, and this is where I think the software competition can come in the VR market. And I think the best example of who's supporting that is probably SideQuest at the moment, because devs and students are pumping great ideas, and we're finally seeing that motion that Nathan and I talked about maybe a year and a half ago on the podcast, where it's like Oculus Share used to be this thing, this field where you'd go and you'd find the gems amidst the rocks. And we finally have that again, and it takes like a year for that platform to kind of come out, stabilize. So I'm glad that Beat Saber exists, because it's like the perfect example of a really easy app for people to get into, but it had these like grassroots. So congratulations.
No, it's nice. I think this game has been, again, like selling so many headsets, have been making people so excited for VR. I'm also happy that there are also other titles now that sit next to Beat Saber on the level of how good it is, because for a while it has been sitting on the throne for ages, and we were almost like wondering if there would ever be another title being as innovative as a Beat Saber. But nowadays we can have all kinds of games next to that one. So it's great. I do hope they're gonna show off some more in terms of updates. I felt like they were getting a little bit repetitive with the things they were doing after the 360 mode. We'll see if they get some more things out there. But it became harder, of course, with the whole mod thing going on. They had some hits too. So we'll see. There is still some stuff that can be done with Beat Saber, I feel like. That is really...
Multiplayer, yes. This is what I was saying. Synth Riders I've played recently, and it's like, when you have that music game that you can play in a multiplayer, environment, it's so compelling, because it gets you to work out that bit harder. And it like what you said about Beat Saber, I'd love for someone to line up all the Beat Saber clones or similar games and just do a comparison. Because you got blocks, you got clubs, you got fists, you can punch stuff, you can whack-a-mole, you can duck in, you can duck sheets, you can dodge walls. There's like so many different combinations now. Like,
yeah. But yeah, absolutely. Sure. That I would love that idea of, being multiplayer Beat Saber where you're standing there slashing your cubes, you look over and you can see an avatar of your friend, they're slashing cubes, or even you can work cooperatively, like in Guitar Hero co-op where he plays a section, then I play a section, then it jumps between us and we try and get a high score together. Again, like you said, it's very motivating to work even harder. Yeah. So I think, or
like Tetris, you feck each other up by, you clear a line and it drops them extra blocks or speeds up their tempo or something. There's so many ideas they could test. I'm sure they're doing this in their lab.
I'm sure they are.
I think we're going to see some changes for sure. Like Facebook has certain plans with Beat Saber. What those plans are, we'll see. But hopefully it will, show off some new tricks because I think there's still so much to explore.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. And just to give you some stats, the game has sold over 2 million copies across PC, Quest, and PSVR, with over 10 million songs sold across all platforms. Yeah.
And I think it's the game that went the most viral on social media everywhere.
Oh yeah. Amazing, use case for viral marketing without any budget.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, incredible. So that is Beat Saber's birthday. But also, while we're talking about Beat Saber, we should also mention some other news that popped up this week about Beat Saber. And Rowdy touched on it at the beginning there. And this is about an artificial intelligence-powered Beat Saber mapping tool. This is really cool. This is a tool called Beat Sage. It's completely free, and you can use it to create your own custom Beat Saber tracks on PC without having to do any work at all. It's as simple as like clicking a button basically, and you get a fresh map of your favorite song. It's incredible. So all you need to do for this to work is go to beatsage.com, find the YouTube link of a pop video that you want to have a custom map for, paste the link into the website, and then the AI system will work its magic to sync up the selected song intelligently with placed blocks. And after a couple of minutes, we'll give you a custom track that you can download and play. And you can even choose which difficulty you want it to be in. It is that simple.
Okay. So that means we can throw in the whole Shrek movie again, but this time have more accurate...
Yeah, and someone doesn't have to watch it for 2 hours and place all those cubes themselves manually, which is pretty incredible. Right. I watched a video of content creator Nazy. She's an Australian Twitch streamer. She did a little guide on how to basically set this up. She did say it was a bit hit and miss with some tracks, but overall pretty solid, and was a good way, especially of playing songs that aren't already mapped by people from the community yet. So interesting if you're into custom Beat Saber. That is beatsage.com.
That's good. And just so I don't confuse people with the video I'm playing, there's a comparison of what you have to do to manually map Beat Saber. If you've never done it yourself, not played around with the level editor, it's a very manual cube placing that you need to do. So, I'll save the queen of AI.
The nice thing about these kind of things is, I don't know how this one specifically works, but in general, these kind of tools tend to get better with more usage. So the more data that it's getting fed into this algorithm, after a while, and you get the feedback from that as well, after a while, the machine will start learning it better. Hence the concept of machine learning, and hence also artificial intelligence.
So this is a mod, right? This is nothing official.
Nothing official, of course. No, absolutely not. No. But yeah, I think it's interesting, absolutely. And you can go and check it out. And it's free, which is really cool. The final bit of news this week is about HTC, actually, because they've created a new virtual reality remote working and collaboration platform called ViveSync. This is kind of interesting. They've obviously been working on this for a long time in the background, but kind of dropped it at the perfect time right now with everything going on. So the ViveSync app is designed for professionals to meet up and collaborate with up to 30 people in a secure virtual space with the ability to sync your files from Microsoft OneDrive, so you can easily deliver like PowerPoint presentations, you can play videos, and you can even import like 3D models into the virtual world to share and view with your sort of co-workers. People that are joining these presentations and sort of events also have the ability to record their own voice notes take screenshots and also annotate them with a virtual 3D pen. So they're really pushing for sort of productivity here.
That looks amazing.
Yeah, it does look really cool, actually. It does look really good. Because they've been using N-Gage over the last few weeks for their events, and I wonder if now they're going to switch to their own app, ViveSync.
It's nice to see this more and more like pop up. I know that a couple of weeks back we highlighted a couple of these things as well. But I think it's nice that we see like in the more productivity field to see these kind of apps also arriving on the virtual platform.
Yeah, so like, don't confuse this with VR chat. You're not going to see any green-headed brush creatures in there. This is purely for business and professional people to get work done.
It's nice that you can use your mobile phone to create your avatar and then use it in VR.
Yeah.
So if you do look like a green creature in real, then it might also turn out to be green in...
So funnily enough, I tried this before the show using the app.
Oh no!
And because I thought it was a really cool feature as well that you can customize avatars in any game, but it's very rare that you can take a selfie of yourself and that will make your avatar look more lifelike, like you. So I thought this was going to be cool.
No offense, your head should be working for this app.
Should work, right?
Right.
So the funny thing was, and I'll share this on social media when I've got a chance to edit the clip, because I recorded it on my phone when I did it, because I thought it was interesting to share, and then something funny actually happened, so that was like even better. So basically, when I took the selfie, I was smiling, so you could see my teeth. And then when I saw the final result, it's like this guy has like the worst overbite in the world because it's just like a line of like top teeth. And it's really, really funny when you see it. It doesn't look anything like me, but it's got this like crazy overbite. But anyway, I do admire what they're trying to do here. And I think, it probably would work well if they just said, don't smile. It would have worked.
Don't smile.
But the funny thing is, you can also, if you've got a Vive Pro Eye, which obviously has this like
fancy.
Tobii eye tracking incorporated into it, that actually works with this app. So you get that sort of lifelike sort of eye movement and interaction from other people if they've got that headset.
Still, like I know that in Pavlov they use something similar. It's not eye tracking, but it does it like based on like the sounds that you make, and like depending on where you're standing, the other person is standing, so the eyes move as well. But it starts to look so freaky when someone like looks a little bit too far up, because then it looks like you're like constantly looking at someone, like you don't take your eyes off of someone. it looks hilarious in Pavlov, but
I've seen
so
that.
that's cool.
I was just going to say that I caught the Tobii eye tracking because we've been hearing it about about that technology for the last probably 2.5 years or something, and then I caught it on this integrated first-person shooter stream. Someone was playing, I don't know, Siege or Go or one of those shooter games, and they had this like hovering purple region, which was where the person was looking, and they were like checking the scoreboard and then checking a corner, and it was very cool to see how fluid it was, and it wasn't interruptive to the stream. Like a lot of these layers or Twitch integration features, they're just very messy, HUD heavy and not nice. But like this Tobii eye tracking, I'm now like very appetized for this to come to VR, because not only is it obviously valuable to people like Facebook who want to see what ads you're looking at or where you're looking on a screen, but it's just really nifty technology, and how people then use that information, I think, is going to be cool to shape our next step. Like you were talking about the selfie that turns into you, Mike. I was immediately thinking of the trouble I had going through Heathrow, where they're taking your photograph. You're going through the airport, and then they check it's you right the way through the security cameras and everything. What if to help, I don't know, kids or just to make it a nicer experience for you as a customer, they took your image, like 3D mapped you right through that, and then you're the one in the safety video, and then showing you fly out of the plane or whatever. The future's coming, and that kind of stuff is going to end up happening. That integration.
And I don't think people want to see our airport faces, because it's usually very early in the morning or very late at night. It's like the worst face you can scan. I don't think it's even going to recognize that we are humans, actually. But what I saw in the trailer is that right now it only works with Vive headsets. I do think they're going to also make it ready for all the other headsets, because Vive part does the same.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, and they also have a desktop client as well. So if you don't have a headset at all, you can join via desktop.
Nice. And then hopefully also the app version is coming to where people can join on the road.
I guess so, yeah. And I suppose, if you see it on a desktop and then you kind of understand the value there, you might go out and buy a headset, which is a good way.
That's nice that it's cross-platform. It's very important because not everyone has access, well, especially now, to a headset.
Yeah. And I think, this is an interesting app, and I think it's a great start from HTC in relation to this, because any apps that help people stay connected and productive in this current climate, I think is a win in my book. So, yeah.
Well, they should focus on what they are good on. That's what I said before with their, with Viveport as well. That's where they can really shine, not with the hardware at the moment.
Only thing you can guarantee here is that ViveSync just had its moment in the limelight because of this whole pandemic, and they were definitely working on this for probably more than a year before this point. So this is all played in their favor to a huge extent, and I hope they get the word out. And as you guys said, focusing on their corner makes sense.
Yeah. And the great thing is, most of these kind of business collaboration platforms, especially that are emerging now, because a lot of these are coming out of the woodwork due to the pandemic. Startups that are basing their business model on this pandemic. What HTC are doing here are saying ViveSync is free for businesses. Go and use it for up to 30 people. It's free. So really smart move from them.
Very smart.
So it'll be interesting to see how people use this to collaborate, and also to see how this evolves in the future. But if you've got a business and you want to give this a try, and you own a Vive headset, or you want to try it out on the desktop, it's free for businesses and available from sync.vive.com. Yep.
To me, it sounds like, they're not trying to replace Zoom and people looking at people, over a video call. They're very much trying to replace, kind of like Engage did, right? That kind of classroom. And so if you're an architect, or you're a car designer, or you've got a classroom of students who want to show something together, right? Those applications, this makes a lot of sense.
Well, you can bring in a product, and look around.
Exactly.
The whole thing.
Prefabs. Yeah.
Yep. So that is all the news this week. ViveSync, we've got some Beat Saber's birthday, Facebook earning calls, Upload, a new show to check out.
Bad.
Loads of cool news this week. So now it's time for our hot topic this week, and this is where Rowdy and I got to interview the legendary man that is David Hayter, who is Solid Snake. So check out this interview. Zim's going to play the VT and watch the pre-recorded interview. So I hope you guys and girls enjoy this one.
This is Solid Snake, and you're listening to the FReality Podcast. So pay some damn attention.
So this is a very exciting interview for the FReality Podcast, because today we have a very special guest. You may know him as the voice of Solid Snake, but he's also the screenwriter for X-Men and the Watchmen movies, a director, a producer, a man of many talents. David Hayter, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. So today we want to talk about a project that you've been working on with VR studio Dreams, and that's because you've recently voiced a new character for an upcoming virtual reality game from the team called Phantom Covert Ops. Can you tell us a little bit about the character that you voiced for this game?
Yes, the character is General Zhurov. He is a somewhat insane former Soviet military commander who is determined to bring back the glory of the Soviet Union by crushing you, the character.
Sounds like the perfect role for you.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, I say when I started my career, all I ever played was heroes. I was the lead in Guyver. I was Captain America. I was Snake. All these things. And then once I turned 40, it all turned to villains. So I don't know if that's just inherent ageism or what, but all of my characters are fairly unhinged now.
And that's a good point, actually, because as you say, Snake was always the character that was going to try and save the world, whereas this general is the one that's trying to cause all the chaos. So yeah, it must be really nice and refreshing for you to be the bad guy for a change.
Yeah, it's funny because the Covert Ops game is similar to Metal Gear in that you're a stealthy special forces operative who's infiltrating this flooded Soviet era base, and so essentially you get to play a Solid Snake type character trying to kill me, which is a bit of meta irony that I think people will enjoy.
Very cool. So for you, how did this opportunity with Dreams come about? And what is the reason that you were attracted to this specific role?
Well, it came about because Dreams got in touch with me and asked me if I would do it. And that made me want to do it. I'm primarily a screenwriter, producer now. That's how I make my primary living. But I love acting, and I love voice acting in particular. So my rule for projects, for me to take a project, A, you have to ask me, and B, there is no B. It's just you just have to ask me.
Yeah, and do they then just?
And that's what they did.
Do they sort of then have to pitch you the idea, or is it just a case of, oh, this sounds cool? Will it like a?
Yeah, typically I look at a project and see, is it going to have real distribution? Is this a real thing? I basically want to know that it's a real production and that it's going to go somewhere, that there's a point to doing it. And obviously this was a very well-funded game, and it was going to be a big title for Oculus. And it just seemed very, very cool. Plus, I get to, General Zurov is from Russia. He speaks with this accent, and that's how I started my career. My first Hollywood role, I did a guest star role on Major Dad, where I played a Russian kid with this Russian accent, and then I went on to be on Captain Planet as a Russian, and so I sort of, they said, "Are you comfortable doing a Russian accent?" And I was like, I got it in my pocket. So
and that's amazing.
Captain Planet. I was a huge fan of that back as a kid. Like, wow.
Yeah, so I was, I only did 2 episodes. I was the brother of the Russian Planeteer. So when she went back home to deal with some sort of problem, I was there. And
that's awesome. I probably saw that episode. Like,
yeah, and it was the first episode that Margot Kidder did as Gaia, the computer. So I got to work with her, and it was my first American voiceover job. It was really, really cool.
Nice.
That's awesome. So when you get into the role of General Zurov, how much can you inject into this role yourself, or is there sort of a strict guideline in terms of like the lines, or can you sort of ad lib a little bit and add bits here and there?
I don't tend to, unless they ask me to. It's always scary to hire an actor who's also a writer. You don't want your actor to come in and rewrite your script unless you do, but most times people don't. So I tend to stick close to the script, but I had a few Russian phrases and things that I knew that I was able to throw in and just to give it a little more reality. But basically, I feel like they hire me to perform the script that they give me. So that's what I do, unless I see some thing that I can make better in a simple and non-destructive way.
Yeah, makes sense.
Awesome. So let me just quickly sort of talk about Phantom for those out there that don't know anything about this game. So it's an Oculus exclusive title coming soon, where, like you said, you play the role of this sort of elite covert operative, and you've got like a single night basically to prevent an all-out war. But it's really unique in that you do all this by water, using this like tactical kayak that's kitted out with all these guns and gadgets for you to assist the mission. So it's quite a unique VR game in that sense. And it works
really well, right?
It works really well. Having played it,
you're always kind of seated down. You don't really have motion sickness because you're moving in a kayak. So it's a really neat kind of concept.
Yeah, so the mechanics of it are amazing. It sounds strange, the kayak element, but you get used to it very quickly. You just sit in a chair and you take the handsets and you kayak. You row like you would a kayak or a canoe, and you can like lay the oar down in the water and turn it so that the kayak turns, and the movement of it is really amazing. It's incredibly immersive.
Yeah,
and a really remarkably unique an original use of the VR world.
Yeah, and which headset did you use to play it? Did you use the Oculus Rift or did you play it on Oculus Quest?
Quest.
Ah, okay. So it's because recently I visited the team at Endreams and we got to play it at the studio, like a relatively new build. And on Rift, it looks absolutely incredible. So I think those on the PC platform, you'll definitely benefit from like the higher resolution graphics and stuff. But the gameplay elements are all intact, obviously, for the Quest players as well. But for Rift owners, you're going to get a treat for the eyes, that's for sure, because visually it's stunning, especially with all the dark sort of scenes and the lighting and the fog and everything else. It just sort of comes together really nicely.
Yeah, and you can. I discovered that you can take your silenced pistol and you can shoot out the lights overhanging, so you can like change the lighting around you and create darkness, and it's really
RTX on. Right?
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, we're geeks. That's why we know what that is. It's like something that started a while ago with the new NVIDIA cards, where like now, like people who make games, the developers themselves can really benefit from like lighting effects. So it's something that started with being RTX on and RTX off, and how it looks different. Looks epic.
God, that's pretty geeky indeed.
Yeah, I know, right?
It is. So going back to your sort of Solid Snake days, how did you first find out that you had that kind of ability to do that with your voice, like create these voices? Was it at a really young age, and then you sort of got into voice acting, or how did that all come about?
I started acting. I did my first acting role at 9. I started doing stage, and that started developing my ability to, project my voice in a way that people could hear it. And then my parents used to do a lot of accents. They do like Irish accents and Scottish accents, things around the house. So I started doing that. And I really voiceover just sort of came to me when I went to high school in Kobe, Japan, and when I was 16, a video game company came to our high school and said, we need 4 English-speaking guys to do voices for arcade games. And I was one of those guys. And so I've been doing voices in video games since there's been video games.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and then I started doing English language tapes in Japan. I don't know. It just.
Do you think it's because you traveled so much as well that you kind of rolled into that kind of scene a bit?
I don't know. Well, I mean, the traveling certainly helped me develop different accents, different voices, different languages. Do
you have an idea of how many accents you currently can do?
I don't. I mean, all of them. I can do a lot of accents, but I don't have any idea what the number is.
And you say like when Endreams came up to you and said, do you want to play this role, General Zurov, and he was a Russian, and you were like, I've got that in the bag already. Was that the same with Snake when Konami approached you to do Snake? Like, did you have that voice in your head?
No, not at all. No, what happened was I auditioned for Snake with my voice, which is just like this, and I was young. I was 28, and then I got the script, and it was like he'd already retired. He was already a legend. He was bitter about having been called back, and I felt like he was older because my voice is sort of. I sound like a cocky fighter pilot or something like that, he just had a lot more gravitas to him and a lot more experience to him. And so while I read the script, I just felt it just started to come to me that this guy was a lot more beaten down and a lot more experienced and a lot more had driven over a lot of hard road, basically. And so that was the voice I came in to perform with. And then midway through the first day of recording, Chris Zimmerman, who was the voice director, played back my audition, and it was completely different from what I was doing. So no, neither Konami nor Kojima expected that that voice, but it seemed to fit the character, and they signed off on it that first day. So the rest is history.
And then that was it. Then that was your voice for many games after that.
Yeah, nine games, 12 years.
Wow.
It's
amazing how much character and voice can bring to like a video character, right?
Yeah, well, ideally, the voice should be compelling, and in a game like Metal Gear, you are constantly hearing it. Like you're just living with that character, with that voice, and it's your voice. I mean, you are the character, so people really get attached to Snake, and I think people feel a very personal connection to the voice, and it's very cool for me about being an animation fan, and loving the voices of like Homer Simpson or Bugs Bunny or to know that I've got a voice that people respond to and it makes them happy is a great gift, and it really makes me happy.
And I think that's the thing. Like,
I used to.
So I was going to say that's the thing. Like for the audio listeners that don't watch the video here, you'll realize you'll not see that when David started doing the voice that we both instantly just started grinning because it just takes you back to playing those games and enjoying them so much, and it's just like you're there again. It's so funny how that takes you right back to being a kid again.
It's like you're having an interview with the actual video game character.
Yeah,
and that's right.
I think that's.
Plus, he kind of looks like me, so you can pretend all you like. Damn it.
I used to watch a lot of anime, and I know that I was a big Dragon Ball Z fan as well, and they have very strong voice actors there as well. And I used to watch a lot of videos where they did the voice acting, and they would actually perform it out a lot as well. Are you someone who gets like very physical as well when you do the voice acting?
Yeah, very much. Well, especially when you're playing an action character, you don't want it to sound like you're just sitting in a chair. I did a game called Republique, which is out on VR as well. It was a very good game. And in that one, I played sort of an insane, unhinged revolutionary who would do these radio broadcasts, and he'd get drunk, and I would actually drink whiskey while doing it. And then we brought in a prisoner, and I told the guy, I'm like, look, I am going to be throwing you around this booth. And because I go off the mic, and I like slam this guy into walls and, wrestle him around. And it turned out he was a former Marine, so he was fine with it. But yeah. And then for General Zurov in Phantom Covert Ops, I mean, there is no scenery left unchewed in my performance. It's big and it is unhinged. So there's a lot of physicality to it.
So nice. so when N-Dreams came up to you and said, he's an alcoholic Russian villain, you were like, yeah, method acting, I've got this one down.
I've got it. Got it in my pocket.
Absolutely. So when these sort of opportunities come to light, do you have like a studio at home that you use to record these lines, or do you go to a studio nearby and send them over like digitally, or how does that sort of work?
It depends on the situation. I recently did a game called Steam Dolls that out of France that I recorded from my home studio, but mostly for professional recording, it's been you go into the booth, and we had a studio for Covert Ops in Burbank. Burbank seems to be the place that has all the voiceover studios, and but times are changing. Obviously, people aren't able to leave, and now the voiceover industry is largely run out of people's closets and home studios.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and is that
a different world?
Is it then with? I assume you have a script, but do you also have any video material that you can go off by, or is that all just more like your imagination that needs to run free?
Yeah. Well, again, it varies by game. On Metal Gear, there were various different ways we had to do it. So in Metal Gear 4, we were watching the mocap actors. So it was all Japanese actors in the ping pong ball suits. And so when snake would move, I would make the corresponding sounds and things like that. But for covert ops, it was just I have the script and I do the performance, and then they'll animate around me.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Right. And you said earlier on that you have some experience with virtual reality, and you mentioned that you did a voice in Republic as well, which of course was another VR game. Other than Phantom Covert Ops, of course, do you have any other favorites that you sort of play regularly?
Yeah, well, and also I want to say I was also Professor Plug in Farlands, which was like a game that came with the original
The
Oculus.
Yeah.
I didn't Professor Plug, and I sort of spoke like this.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't know that was you.
Yeah, I know you can't tell, but it was me, and so that was pretty fun. Do I have any favorites? I've been playing Vader Immortal, which is amazing. I just did The Room. My daughter and I do escape rooms, and so I got The Room and The Fisherman's Tale, which are really cool puzzle
very nice.
games. You know what I love? It's not a game, but I love the Wander app on the Oculus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have lived all over the world, and I've traveled all over the world, and so I use the Wander app, and I go back to my high school in Japan, or I walk through the streets of Kobe or Osaka where I used to live, and it's amazing. Like you speak into the mic and say the address of your childhood home, and then suddenly you're dropped down in full 3D in front of your childhood home, and it's really amazing.
Yeah, that's right. It's funny actually, because I've got my father-in-law who lives with us. When Wonder first came out, I showed him the app, and he went back to his childhood home in Fiji, and he was getting to grips with it and sort of teleporting around. And then he saw a curb, and he almost tripped over a virtual curb in real life, because it was kind of his first time with VR. So it was really interesting. But it's great to hear that you're enjoying that app as well.
Oh, I love it. It's amazing. I was walking through the streets of Kobe, and I was like, oh my God, that restaurant I loved was down here. And so, you walk down, and it's all different now, but I really love that app.
And especially in these times at the moment, it's a great way to escape reality for a little bit and go back to some simpler times, maybe.
That's true.
And how are you coping with the lockdown and everything else?
Pretty well. I mean, it's stressful for my family. We've got my wife, my daughter, my mother lives here, and we got 4 dogs, and so it's a little tough to be shut in together. Fortunately, I mean, I feel badly for the people that live in New York or something like that. We have a great big house, and we've got a huge lawn or yard with a giant pool, and so we've got more space than most people, which is nice. And frankly, as a screenwriter, this hasn't really changed my lifestyle that much at all. I'm a pretty isolated character to begin with, so I'm kind of enjoying it in a perverse way, but it is tough on the family, and I do find it stressful. Now, going to the grocery store is stressing me out.
Yeah, of course. And as a writer, are you constantly writing at the moment, or on working on new projects?
Well, I try. I mean, it's it has a weird effect. This thing it dampens your motivation, but at the same time, I'm writing a TV show for Netflix called Warrior Nun, which our debut was supposed to be May 7th, but it got bumped now. But it's coming out soon, and so that's really fun, and I'm very, very fortunate to be working on that. And then I just closed a deal to create and star in an animated show. So I'm going to be starting on that pretty soon.
Awesome. Warrior Nun on Netflix. Go and check it out. What about any other superhero stuff in the pipeline?
I don't know if I have any other superhero stuff in the pipeline. No, not that I can think of.
That's sort of your bag with X-Men and like Watchmen, both awesome.
It is
awesome superhero
Well,
movies.
it was. I mean, and I love being the comic book movie guy, but I don't at the moment. No, I don't have anything any superhero themed things going on, which is strange.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, thank you very
Turning
much.
into a villain.
He's turned into a villain, exactly. Thank you very much for joining us on the FReality podcast. We really, really appreciate you taking some time out for us. And I look forward to meeting your character, General Zurov in Phantom Covert Ops, when it releases on Oculus Rift and Oculus Quest later on the 25th of June. So you can face him yourself as well and check it out.
Well, thank you, Tovarish. I think you will enjoy it. And I hope you will all vote for the new Soviet Union when it comes about.
Thank you very much, David. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, guys. It was great fun.
Hey, guys, that was an awesome interview.
That was just so much fun to speak to that guy. And as you saw in the interview, like, he is just such a lovely, down-to-earth guy.
Yeah.
And he's a geek as well. Maybe not, as much as a geek as Rowdy is with his RTX joke, but he is.
But he's one of us. He's one of us, right?
He is, yeah, totally one of us. So it was an absolute privilege to be able to interview him. And I know that you guys have given us some feedback, say you wanted more guests on the show.
Yep.
So this is something we're going to try and work on in the future. Do more. Even if we have to pre-record them, like this one was, we can play it back during the show and at least share it anyway. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, let us know if you did enjoy it in the comments, and let us know on Twitter as well. We'd really, really appreciate that sort of feedback.
My favorite piece of the whole interview has to be when David talks about Farlands, because the guy who he played, Dr. Plakov or whatever his name was, Pluk, Dr. Pluk, was probably my most hated character that year. I was like, this guy's so annoying. So it's great that he was the voice behind it, because again, it shows a transformational voice artist can do that. And like he was saying, the accents that you can do, that's what you want in your voice artist. You want him to be able to do that, be the guy you love, be the guy you hate. And it's great to see the dynamicism of that. But Republic, I love that he dropped that. Like, that was another one, which is like, this is the thing you get when you speak to voice artists, is you just get a string of surprises, like going back, and they tend to jump between projects more than like a face actor or someone who's embodying a character, because they're more free. They're not as letterboxed in as a character who's there in body.
Yeah, absolutely.
From the chat,
so go on.
Yeah, from the chat, we have a lot of people saying that they really liked the interview, and I would really like to highlight our Grambo's comment, and he said that it was a very solid interview from David.
Nice one. And I think it's one of those things that when you talk to him, and when he does do the voice, it changes everything. It does transform him completely into another character. And having been someone that enjoyed the Metal Gear Solid games in the past, them all in fact, it completely changes things, and it takes you right back to being a kid playing those games. So yeah, it was a privilege and an honor to interview him, and I was really happy how it turned out in the end, and it was great for Rowdy to join me on that little adventure as well. But
it was awesome.
That was the interview with David Hayter, of course, but now it's time to dive into the latest releases this week with Zim, and I think he's also got something special lined up for us as well, which I'm excited about.
Oh, you guys should be nervous. You should be so nervous. So Mike's talking about at the end of us doing the releases. I've got 3 releases for you, a little bit of game release related news, and then a trailer quiz, dipping back as far as 2013 to games that were released for VR, and I hope you remember. So chat, you're going to get a little interactivity there to play along with us, and if you're there listening in your car on your way to commute, then clearly you're listening in the future, because none of us are commuting at the moment. So, or you're a health worker, in which case, good on you. So here we go into the first of the releases this week. Now this one is a game that has been released a while back on itch.io and has been growing, like many things do on itch, and I don't think these guys have probably played it. I have, and I'm going to talk about my experience with it and recommend that you guys go download this. It's at beta.4 at the moment. There's a game called, it's totally voxel based. It's called Ancient Dungeon VR. Now I'm not as thrilled with the title, but I'll tell you what, the gameplay that this dev has put together, it absolutely is one of the most inspired indies that I've played in probably the last 2 years, and I don't say that lightly. Wow. This is a roguelite dungeon crawler, and at this moment on Kickstarter, which has about I think 18 days to go or something, he had a 4K goal. This is a single indie dev called Eric Thulin from Germany. and he had a 4,000 euro goal. He's currently sitting at almost 6,000 euro, and it's obvious why. You've essentially got a randomly generated voxel world, gorgeous visuals, great slew of different bad guy types. You're progressing from kind of level to level. There's boss fights. There's a whole range of different upgrades you can get to your throwing knives, your sword, like all these things that you unlock. And again, I won't go into much detail because I think half of the fun is finding those things. But literally, by the time I finished kind of like a 2-hour play session, I had upgraded my weapons probably 30 times. You know, there's so many little things that you get in chests and all over the place. One of the most impressive things to this, and this is going to sound really simple, the permanence of slicing down voxel vines and grass that literally occlude your way. And you have to hack your way through this stuff to get through like this jungle part of the map to the next bit of the map, or break wood like you would in like Half-Life with the same kind of satisfying clunky thunk. So although it's an itch project, and this is a computer science student who's been working on this for the last 2 years, I have to say that, yeah, chopping down voxel grass has never been so fun. It puts bigger studios, in some extent, to shame. It's a fantastic game. Go try it out.
What I thought was impressive, I haven't tried it, but I saw the trailer. Like the enemies, I think they are mocapped. I'm not sure, but they move in a way that I haven't seen many enemies move in a VR game before.
They have full physics. So if you like full physics in the funny way that if you slice a skeleton, for example, and then he's dead, right? Life's gone out of him, but he's like just at his like tipping point. He'll like slowly tip over and then slump against a wall and stuff like that. It looks realistic.
It looks like it's almost like, I know it's all fantasy, but they look like alive to me.
And there's a whole, as I said, I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a whole host of creatures. I did not think that like a single dev could come up with a game that is this rich at this stage of its development cycle. The guy's basically begging for some additional equipment so we can develop for like Windows MR and get the Steam controllers so we can help support for those headsets. But if you got any of the other PC VR headsets that work for you, the only bug I'll mention, which I came across and the dev's going to work on, is there's a knife like all that responsive. That was the only gripe I had about the whole game. The guy's done a website for it, a trailer, all that kind of stuff. It's available for free on itch at the moment.
And it's only available for PC at the moment.
PC VR at the moment, but the part of the Kickstarter, and this is why I recommend you check it out, not just the trailer, but you know, download the game and actually give it a play. I think you'll be as smitten with it as I am. And his Kickstarter goal, if he hits 9,000 euro, is that he'll bump up and he'll swap around. Instead of working on the Steam build, he's gonna work on the Quest build, which I think for that game, given the kind of action and it's very much 360-degree combat, will really sing for it.
But this again shows that, you know, physics are slowly becoming the standard in VR games, where you want to have a certain amount of interactivity in the worlds you play. And I think we're only gonna, you know, go forward with that more and more. Because how many dungeon crawlers have you played where there are like physics like that going on?
No, the thing is, I've played quite a few, and like my favorite of these is very static in nature. I've talked about it before. The Morrigan kind of looks similar, kind of voxel based, very well packaged, great, well developed. But this has like a kind of exploration to it. And I went through it. You can actually beat this game. You get up to a certain part of it, because at the moment, of course, it's not fully fleshed at the moment. You get to a certain part of it. You can beat it and go back again. And everything scales. Everything gets tougher. All the levels are, again, randomly generated, so you're not playing the same thing again. And it's like all the little things. Opening chests, finding your way through a door, pathing, all that stuff. Very well done. 2 years and a computer science guy who's trying to make his way into the games industry. I'll tell you, buddy, you've already got what it takes. You don't need anything more than that on your CV. So,
sehr good.
Yeah, there you go. So that was the first one. The second one, which somebody mentioned a little bit earlier as playing, I wanted to touch on again, because the first time we covered Let's Create Pottery VR, I think Rowdy almost killed me, because I convinced him I was going to be talking about Boneworks. But this has come out for Quest, and I wanted to talk about it again for two reasons. Number one, because of the time we're going through, and this might kind of help somebody. And number two, as a bit of a warning. So I'll quote one of the game taglines here in a moment. Let me describe it first. So in short, if you want a game that you can create pottery from the very basics, you go through the whole ceramics life cycle. So you start by picking the color of your clay. You put it on a pottery wheel, like some will be imagining the movie Ghost from the 80s or 90s. And you shape that with your hands. And this is the part where I think a lot of Quest users are a little bit miffed, and rightly so. It's only single hand support. It's not both hands. So that to me is quite unfortunate. That's a bit of false advertising there. I'm sure they'll end up patching it in, but how long, I don't know.
Do you need two hands for this?
You only use one hand to shape it. So
But
it's not as...
is that usually you do that, like I'm not an expert on like pottery, but as far as I know, you usually do it with two hands, or...
I've usually seen it done with both hands on the pottery wheel, yes, as the clay is spinning. So that's typically on
Otherwise,
advertised.
we'll ask our resident pottery expert, Mike. Do you normally use two hands when you do pottery?
Well, being an avid watcher of the Great British Pottery Throwdown, I know that you do actually have to use two hands, yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise the clay goes imbalanced and then
and your
it'll
feet,
spin
your
off.
feet too, right? To spin the thing.
It depends if it's a manual one or a motorized one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know this about Mike. This is awesome.
Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Mike, for the confirmation there.
Welcome.
So a couple more little things just about this. So as I said, you take it through the whole life cycle, and this is just released on Quest. This came out on the 30th of April. Cost of this one is $20 or $15.49 in pounds. And this came out previously on PC VR when we covered it last, and that was on the 9th of December that it last landed for PC VR. So if you are a PC VR person, you can go get this if you're interested. A lot of people have been positively responding to it on Oculus Home, and on Steam it's kind of mixed reviews at the moment. So I'm interested to see if that maybe cools off on Oculus Home at the minute, but I think again, where we are, some people are looking for those more calmer experiences. Anyway, the game's out, and at the end of that life cycle, you actually have to end up selling your artwork. And I thought that was a bit interesting, but it's a bit like being a puppy breeder, isn't it? I mean, who wants to take part in getting rid of puppies? I don't know, sadists, I suppose. But the game's out, and take a look at it if you're needing relax.
Wow.
That is, Let's Create Pottery VR.
Imagine Zim, playing this pottery VR game, but then with your voice like you do in sound.
Oh my god.
That would be something, right?
Having done Sound Self, I can see that game actually working, Nathan. That is weird. If you could shape it. The funny thing that I saw in the Oculus Home that surprised some people and it surprised me was this is actually a staged game. So what I mean is there are like missions. So it'll say, okay,
missions.
Yeah, there's missions. So it's like I want you to make a potter. Like I want you to make a pot that looks like this, and I want you to color it this certain way. And then the game kind of gives you a ghost outline, and you're shaping the pottery to kind of learn your way. And then there's the freeling.
Oh, that's going to be so hilarious when you get to see this is how it's supposed to look. And then you look at the thing, the monstrosity you just created. It's like, ooh.
Well, at least you don't get any dirty hands when you play this one. So that's nice.
Exactly.
That's true. We've got an excellent comment from Watto UK who's referring to my invested interest into pottery, and he said he would refer to me as Harry Potter. Genius. Genius.
Yes, we'll leave that one there. Okay, third and final of the releases we'll get onto, so you guys can get about your lives again. This is, and we've covered this again before, so it's another re-release, but on a new platform, PlayStation fans, we have Down the Rabbit Hole, which we've had launched on PC VR recently on the 26th of March. So now, as of recently, I think it was the first of the month, this has also dropped. So you have something fun to play. Now, one thing I wanted to bear in mind here before you go and quickly look and go for the $5 $6 version or £5 version, there was another game on the store with almost the exact same name. So don't get confused. If you're looking for an Alice in Wonderland inspired kind of family adventure where you're going down a rabbit hole, don't pick up the game The Rabbit Hole. You need to pick up Down the Rabbit Hole, because actually just a month and a half ago, Sony on their store released a horror room escape game called The Rabbit Hole with almost the exact same box art. It is absolutely shocking to see the two. And actually that one even quotes bits of Alice in Wonderland and Lewis Carroll's classic tale. So the game you're looking for is currently priced at $20, $15.99 in pounds, and it takes you on a journey, which is a prequel to Alice in Wonderland, with a unique VR locomotion where I think you're traveling down the hole with the diorama 360 around you in Down the Rabbit Hole. So you guys have touched on this before. Any comments on it before we move on?
just that it's a really cool concept. You know, like I think I mentioned this before as well when I talked about it, is that when I played it at Gamescom, I really like the fact that you are actually going down a rabbit hole, and that's how the game progresses. You go deeper down, and then at any time you can look up and see where you came from, which is a really neat concept that I hadn't seen before. So very smart.
Nice.
Did you end up finding Patches? Oh, Patches. He gets himself lost every time, the little dog or whatever that you're going after in the hole.
No, I remember getting really stuck on some music puzzle. I remember the devs having to help me out because I was really struggling with it. Because some of the puzzles are actually very hard in this game.
It's
but
like
it is
flowers.
That's it. Yeah. But it's a cool game, definitely. I haven't gone back to it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. It's definitely on my list to go back to.
Oh my god. Yeah, but anyway, it's very rare that I see Sony make a kind of a flub as I've seen here. They've obviously staged the releases apart, but trust me, go check the PlayStation Store and go look for the rabbit hole or down the rabbit hole, and you'll be surprised at how close even the fonts of the titles are similar. It's crazy. Anyway, weird move from Sony on that one. So a couple of additional mentions, and I'm going to run something in the background for this as well as we go. Some of you have already been playing this, I know, because you've been part of the beta that's been going on. So we've got Echo VR Quest, which is essentially Echo Arena, opening to all on May 5th. So if you're into like disc throwing basketball, then get into this. I've seen a few people who've been playing the beta and enjoying themselves. If you've ever played this game, I can tell you skill matters. That's probably as far as I'm going to go with my warning.
A lot of my friends who recently got into VR have been very excited about this, and they've been playing the beta a lot and really enjoying it. So, if you never played it first time around on Rift, especially now being wireless, maybe the Quest is the way to go with this one.
Yeah,
this has to be launched very soon because this is welcome again.
Also, if you're going to get into the game, the number one thing you can do in this game, in my opinion, is you can ride on someone's back. That's the best part. Yeah. The launching sequence where you can just grab on someone else's backpack and they take off. Amazing. That's just like so fun.
Totally agree.
As long as you can play a little bit casual, if you're not, because that's the thing, when I played the PC version, people were so good at it. I was like, I only have time to play this once a week maybe. But other people are like, I play this like 4 or 5 hours a day. I'm like, okay.
Oh, yeah. I was riding on the back of Reality Check VR the whole time because we were playing together, and it was like this. It was like game starts in 10 seconds, he's scored, and we win. And then he would just keep doing the same thing. So, as I said, skill matters. Absolutely.
Yeah, having met a lot of these pro players when we've been to like Oculus Connect, they invest so much time practicing. Like the Onward guys and these guys that are into Echo as well.
For them, like, because I talk with them as well, like it's more like about like muscle memory than anything else, which just shows how much they practice and how much invested they are in this.
Yeah. But beautiful for the Quest.
Absolutely.
I definitely feel it. I have cable problems regularly. What was I going to say next? A couple of other things, just to give you the heads up about the content. I think, Mike, you wanted to say something about this as well. So we've got some new content for Aspire 1 coming in their aptly named Assimilation update. And Arizona Sunshine has some new Quest DLC, which we've tinkered with before. So there was a story or something you wanted to say. Someone's gotten lost in the
Yes, Gamertag in the chat and BMF VR played I think it's the Damned DLC on Quest, and they did a video, and apparently BMF did get actually quite motion sick, but apparently it was due to an older build, and now they've updated it. So hopefully you won't get motion sick due to some sort of glitches in the game, but it's just something that Gamertag shared on Twitter this week, so thought I'd mention it.
Yeah, and there's a couple of DLC available for Arizona Sunshine. So for those who've enjoyed the campaign, it might bring you back again. I've certainly been playing Arizona Sunshine with my wife. It's one of those fun games.
A blast from the past.
It's really good. It's really fantastic on Quest actually. Okay, time for the new segment. I love this. This is when I get to play Dr. Evil. So we have 3 willing contestants here. The FReality crew lined up, and they don't know what is coming for them. So, gentlemen, these are the rules of the game. Let's play a game. Just like Saw. Trap your body parts in something, and then we'll see if you get it right. So this is how it's going to work. All right. Number 1, I'm going to run a historic trailer. Okay? And one of you, I'll tell you who's up, will narrate, because for our audio listeners, because they're not going to get to see the pretty visuals, and we'll see if they can figure it out. So as soon as you figure out the name of the game, just say it. The clip is only going to run for 60 seconds, and limited to that for each of these trailers. And we'll see if you manage to get the game by the end. That's the game.
Ooh.
Okay.
So
Exciting.
do we need to narrate over it ourselves and then at the end guess it, or as soon as we know it?
Soon as you know it, call the name, because the quicker the better, right? Chat, I want you guys playing along too. So gentlemen, no peeking at chat during this section, okay? No
Oh yeah,
cheating.
turn the chat off.
Yeah, turn the chat off. Kick that away. Ignore them. They're only going to say lovely things to you. And chat, you know you're the winner if you come up first, of course. Okay, I'm not going to be calling names out, but maybe Rowdy or someone after can help me out in that department. So let's go ahead. So if you don't manage to say the name of the game without any help of any of ours before the end, then there you go. Gentlemen, everyone else, until the person says the name of the game, zip it. Okay? And we're going to do this again in future if this works well. So
Who's first?
Nathan's first up, of course.
Oh, yes. Pressure's on.
So I can guess now.
So I'm going to give you a little hint, Nathan. Your one is the oldest of the lot, and it is from 2013. So for those who are new to VR, you get a glimpse of what was there
Was he born then already?
7 years ago. Nathan was the ripe age of 6 years. Oh, no, I don't know. He wasn't that young. He couldn't even wear, he just kept falling over with the VR headset. Let's go. Anyway. All right. This is trailer quiz take 1. Here we go. And Nathan, when you start seeing it, narrate away.
Okay, so first I see the Oculus VR logo, the classic one, presenting a new game. And now I see a man inside a, lunar device. It's like a spaceship flying above, the moon, trying to, I guess, land it with all these meters going on, going crazy. There's a little radar making beep-a-boop sounds. And there's some steam coming out of it too. It's beautiful. Even for 2013, this is still a pleasure for the eyes.
I remember trying this and it just made me so motion sick.
Me as well.
And that's pretty much it. It's like trying to land.
Do you have an idea?
Your ship. I think so. I think there's also got a reboot later on.
Yep.
Where you could deliver packages.
You're right.
One. Yeah.
And I also covered it on my channel.
Yep.
But I was
You
like,
can also just give us a YouTube link.
I'll tell you the developer's name was Shove, if that helps trigger anything.
yeah, I don't
Super
know.
odd.
This is a tough one. Mike seems to know it, so if
I
we
don't
want to
know
let
the
Mike say.
name. Yeah, well, he can say it if he wants.
I want to say something like Lunar Lander or something like that,
No.
but I don't think it's that obvious.
Or
No.
Just showed.
Lunar Flight, Lunar Lander, Lunar
Flight,
Flight.
yes.
Lunar flight. Nathan literally almost said it at the beginning. He'll be kicking himself later. Lunar
Good
flight.
one though. Good one. What a classic.
So this is the date of that trailer. And remember, this game has been built, launched, Oculus had looked at it and kicked it out the door, 11th of November, 2013.
Yeah, this was DK1, back then, if you didn't know, the Oculus DK1 didn't ship with motion controllers, so you had to use an Xbox controller. Also, it was 3 degrees of freedom.
3 degrees of freedom. Xbox controller in your lap. And that game, not easy. Not easy. No. Picking packages up with pure Newtonian physics, dropping them off. Ugh.
And also try not to throw up all over your bedroom or wherever where you're playing it.
It was kind of like an early intro to almost like Elite, what Elite Dangerous did in much higher fidelity later. But I remember seeing that one and thought you'd get a kick out of that. All right. Yeah, so Nathan didn't quite get there. I actually thought he might get that one. I knew it was going to be like a switch. It was either he was going to get it straight away or not at all.
The thing is, I actually confused this with a different game that I also played. I'm going to look it up right now. But I was thinking about something totally different, actually. It's weird because there's another delivery game where you're in this little lunar thing that was a release on
Elite
the Oculus
Dangerous.
Rift.
Elite Dangerous. No, but that you were right about that being re-released. That was refurbed and then released a few years later. Actually, I think it got a 2016 or 2017 re-release after a polish, like an enhanced version. So there you go. Nice. All right, Rowdy's going to be up next.
Of course.
And this is Anyway, good luck. You know the rules of the game, so again, everyone else zip it until he calls the name, and Rowdy, do narrate the whole way through, even if you get it. All right, just so chat's got something. We'll run this for a minute. All right, here we go. I love this game. See them all in tense action. Here we go, Rowdy. Good luck, sir.
From your friends over at Steam VR, built with the Unreal Engine, stars, a planet, a pale blue dot in the distant universe, and a warehouse for whatever reason. Forget 360 videos, photogrammetric, a word I cannot pronounce, but a beautiful scenery. The Chinese wall, maybe, who knows? Jaw-dropping, detailed VR environments from Road to VR. A church here as well. Is it Steam VR environments?
No.
Realities, photogrammetry VR scenes.
Yeah, you
reality.
got realities. Nice. Did you read it? Yeah, you read it.
Yeah, I just read it now.
In the quote, yeah. So it's realities.
I was like Destinations. I thought it was that one.
To be honest, honestly, Destinations is another fantastic app in terms of Steam VR stuff. That one landed 4th of April 2016. So again, it's still pretty old.
Wow.
But that's.
I thought it was Google Earth for a moment there.
Yeah,
but,
same.
I was
Same.
Like, but then I saw the buildings. I was like, yeah, but you can't go inside.
No.
It was good that
never
Rowdy
played that
didn't
one.
jump the gun either. He kept himself back there right until he thought he got it, and he almost got it. It could have been Steam VR environments, but I will go for discrete packages. So good.
Nice.
Now
Nice
it's
one.
time for Mike. Can we
excited.
get the host as well? We've got 2 out of 3 so far.
Pottery.
2 out of 3.
Come on, Mike. Come
not
on,
gonna
Mike.
be
Game
pottery.
face.
Is it
All
going
right.
to be Temple of Pizza or Halo Recruit?
Focus.
So you were talking to David Hayter. So I was scanning. I was like, geez, what do we got? Okay, I'm going to give you one hint. This is 2016 as well. All right, here we go, Mike.
Great hint.
Good luck. A lot of games in 2016 for VR. That's all I'm saying. A lot of games.
Go for it, Mike.
Ooh, PSVR. He's putting the PSVR on his head, so immersed in the virtual world. This is a bomb. I keep talking and nobody explodes.
Bing. Yeah.
Yeah, come
Yeah.
on. Get in the
That was the easiest out of all of them.
You want
Yeah.
to say, I expect you to die first.
Yeah, I did.
You're like,
die.
Oh, wait, no.
But this trailer, if you want to keep narrating, it's pretty awesome.
beautiful.
He
Detonate
sees the bomb
right
in
now.
front of him, the detonate button. He's seeking advice from the operator. Which button should he press? Which wire should he cut? Nobody knows. Is he going to do it?
He's got his
The
headset
pressure is on.
tilted.
The sweat is dripping from his brow underneath the headset. Wonderfully asymmetric challenge. The best social experience winner from Proto Awards. Countdown is ticking. Which wire will he cut? Oh my god. The tension. I feel like doing a Jamesify. Wow, guys! You know,
ASMR with Mike.
yeah. But yeah, keep talking and nobody explodes. Got this one in the bag. But yeah, I think you're right. I think you guys are right. Like, it was the easiest one, I think, out of all of them.
Well, I caught something there when we were full screen. Is at the very top of the manual it said, keep talking and nobody explodes. I vetted about 30 to get these, but, you're going to get a new selection at some point in the future. So
That was awesome.
there you go. Well
That was
done,
awesome.
gentlemen. Well done. And chat, good on you. If you had fun with that, let us know. If it was awful, tell us. We'll never do it again. So
Paradise Decay said Mike knows all about cutting wires.
That's true. That's true.
yeah, about that.
That's
You
definitely right.
released that video this year, didn't you?
I didn't, only on Twitter, because
Okay.
I wasn't brave enough to repost it on
If
YouTube.
there's one game that Mike has been constantly asking about to play, it was like that game that we just showed.
Oh, I always wanted to play
He
it. Like,
always had
with-
this urge to play it.
Yeah. In the end, I think I ended up playing it with my Discord, and we did a video that
Oh,
way.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
So that was Keep Talking and the releases this week. If you didn't catch those releases, I'll just repeat those. Ancient Dungeon VR was the itch project that I was saying go download now. Let's Create Pottery if you're feeling a little bit lonely and you want to get friendly with some clay. And then Down the Rabbit Hole, not the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole if you want to go play with Alice.
So and then Lunar Flight will be releasing in 2013, right?
Lunar Flight will be releasing in 2013.
Nice.
That's
All
it.
right.
Those are this week's
Nice.
releases.
So we did ask for some questions in the chat, so I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys want to scroll back while I sort of just recap the show times.
Let's do it.
So just a reminder, because I don't do this at the beginning anymore, I do it at the end, because if you're watching the show, you know already. This is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on YouTube and on Twitch. You can also catch the show in VR using big screen TV. The show goes live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, 12 midday in Central US. Also, the audio is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and on Spotify. Rowdy does a great job in making that sound beautiful for your ears, so make sure you go and check that out as well and subscribe to it on iTunes. Hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. We really, really appreciate it. We really love all the support this episode, particularly around the interview with David. I'm glad you all really enjoyed that.
Yes.
And like we said earlier, we got more guests planned in the pipeline for future episodes as well. So make sure you stay tuned for those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was
Nice.
an awesome interview, by the way, and I think interview skills, Mike, are showing through. It was really good in terms of the pacing. You guys gave David time to both breathe and be very human in the interview, which some interviewers, they try to kind of shove too many questions. So good on you guys, both of you. That was
man.
it was a really fun thing to watch back, and we heard a lot from him that went on tangents that were unexpected. So great to have that.
So in the chat, VR Maniac is mentioning Supernatural. We had this triggering conversation last
Oh
time.
yes.
If you wanna see that the full version of that, we have a clip on the channel that you can check out and share with your friends. Joining the discussion. So as far as I know, Mike was able to try the tutorial because we do not have access here in Europe.
Yeah,
to
that's weird.
now
I got
dive
that
into the full
feedback too.
version.
After I played it, was that for
you
some
also
reason in the
tried it,
UK we can, but people in Europe can't.
No, so we can only play the tutorial here. I also tried it for science to kind of check it out, and also to kind of come back to the conversation because we said to be continued.
Yeah.
Of course, we do have nothing to say about the full version because again,
That's the problem.
unless we use a VPN maybe, but
Yeah. So I kind of tweeted out my summary of the game because I wasn't going to plan it. I wasn't going to show a video or anything like that. But basically, I tried the tutorial, like you said. We're locked out of the full content because we're in the UK and Europe. It's only available in the US and Canada.
Yeah.
The first month is free though, so if you are in the US and Canada, you can try the first month for free, and then just see what it's like. And then after that is $20 a month subscription, which was the main sort of controversy around this game because a lot of people, including us, thought it was very expensive for what it was. My sort of opinion of it was that it gave a really clear tutorial. The tutorial was great. The
tutorial.
environments that surround you 360 are actually really gorgeous and captured from real life environments. Pretty breathtaking, to be honest.
Yeah.
The trainer captures as well is some of the best full motion video capture I've ever seen in a VR app. So that was also very standout. It tracks workouts via apps, so via Apple Watch and your phone with a dedicated app, which I thought was, again, really smart. The negatives, which I think, outweigh a lot of some of these positives, are that the gameplay doesn't feel new at all. It feels like a Beat Saber clone, only that you're holding bats instead of sabers.
Yeah.
You don't get to check any sort of form, so you don't get any feedback on your form. You can completely cheat, and the trainer will still be going, "Yeah, great job. You did an amazing thing." Where in real life, you're probably just sitting on your couch eating crisps. So that felt a bit strange.
it's like playing Wii Sports on the couch.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. It also feels like a workout, whereas other games like Beat Saber and Pistol Whip, they do an amazing job. The games aren't workout games, but they just happen to be fun games that do give you a workout and you're squatting a lot and burning calories, whereas this feels like a workout app. So the frame of mind is different when you play it. And personally, I enjoy just playing the fun games and getting a workout as a bonus instead of
the other way
going for
around.
it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Box VR is a bit that way as well, where it's a little bit more workout than game, and
bit
you
more
can
serious.
tell by the framework. And I'm like you. I prefer the game with the tack on. Cheat me into exercise. I don't want to be exercising and then have it gamified.
This is for the non-gamers.
Yes.
Exactly, yeah. I said in my summary that I think I would pay $5 a month if it was available in my country. I'd be more tempted to try it out for a few months. But personally, I sort of rounded it up by saying that I'd rather spend 2 months of the subscription I would have paid for Supernatural to buy Beat Saber and Pistol Whip outright, and then just use your which is available through SideQuest for free to track the workouts, which also has a dedicated app on iPhone and Android, I believe.
I think it just doesn't give enough. Is my take on the tutorial? And again, I only played the tutorial, and there's a lot of people who I respect have opinions of having played the full game, trialed it in the US, right, and really liking it. I'm still positive on the model. I'm not positive on this package. Because this package is punitive in terms of expense. It is too short-winded. It doesn't do enough outside of just that single interaction. And I think it does Beat Saber worse than Beat Saber does for a few things. The balls, the targeted balls, these triangles that are coming at you, like those things, it's harder to see them, differentiate them. The swinging motions are quite abnormal. The ones that involve your shoulder rotation, I didn't have fun with it. But like what Mike said, the 360s are some of the best I've seen in any VR capture, including some photogrammetry work. Very well done. I didn't see any stitching or anything. I don't know. That's great. The captures of the smiley California people really put me off. I would not be interested in looking at someone that ripped for more than 2 minutes. I'm sorry. I want a trainer who looks somewhat normal and can talk to me like a human, not grinning at me like the Cheshire Cat, for till the end of time. I want live trainers. If I'm going to be paying a subscription, I want a live trainer or something like that. Even if it's just audio, I am not going to pay for a video capture of somebody.
Listen, if it was a live trainer, then $20 is not a bad idea. But
that's what I thought it was. That's what I thought it was. They were advertising it as actual trainers.
That's like the next level. When I tried it, it's funny that you mentioned the fact that they were so buffed. I didn't really have a problem with that. It's just that I found that some of the people that were kind of, letting you exercise were very, very excited to a point where I would be like, can you also pick a different
tone?
From different places. It's like very American.
It is very. Hey, I'm half American. I'm allowed to say it. It put me off.
No offense.
No.
It's like I would love to see kind of also maybe more. Someone who's a little bit more chill or a little bit more, but these were very, it was almost like I was in this Telcel commercial of like, let's go. And then I'm like, yeah, that's cool, and I like it. For certain tracks it fits, but it would be nice to have a variety of different coaches.
What you want is like a British butcher, like just smoking a cigarette, rolling on and just flicking the fag out and just saying, look, you weasel, punch this meat and get fit. Otherwise, I'm going to kick your ass.
No, but you get my point. But it's nice to have those people in there because I think they did a great job on explaining you what you had to do.
Yeah.
Again, I'm completely sold on the whole coach idea of having someone, cheering you and saying like, oh, you're doing very well, even that sometimes it's scripted. But it's still kind of nice to, meet them. It feels very personal. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm doing well. Let's do this and that, and come back later. The tutorial that they showed was great. They sell it very well. The concept. Of course, as you said, like the subscription is quite expensive at the moment, so that's kind of the problem. And I thought gameplay-wise, some of the mechanics are, well, I wouldn't say better than Beat Saber does it, because the physics in Beat Saber and everything together, it just works and has been very polished. But I thought that the swinging, for example, around this, that's like a mix between Synth Riders and Beat Saber. I thought it was a cool thing to be doing. And then also the squatting with the triangles. It's like using different elements from all these rhythm and fitness games that we had in VR so far and mixes them together. And also the 360 turning and stuff and kind of doing that. It's nice, but as I said, it's like using it from all those games and combines it together. So yeah, I had a fun time. I don't think it's bad at all. Again, like I'm still blown away by the fact it's approved by Facebook to have it on the store next to Beat Saber because, well, indirectly it is competing with Beat Saber now because it's kind of like the same gameplay in its core. But yeah, if they can drop the price of the subscription.
I did see somewhere, I can't remember what the source is now, but they said that it was like ranked at number 11 in terms of like the most played app on the Quest right now, around 11 or something like that, I remember reading.
Okay.
But it will be interesting to see how that changes once the free subscription is over.
Oh, they won't be anywhere near. They won't be in the top 100, at that stage. Nah.
Yep. So that is the show this week. I hope you guys and girls all enjoyed it. We'll be back next week with some more juicy VR topics and maybe even another guest. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled for that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and all our other sort of outlets in terms of the audio version as well. Have a great week in VR. Stay safe. Look after each other. And bye-bye for now.
And enjoy the outro.
Bye-bye.
Oh, yeah,
Bye-bye.
baby.
Bye.
So this is a...